So, welcome to Jumbo Ice and welcome to our lecture series called Daily News in Shorts. In this lecture series, we cover a particular day's current affairs in a short span of time within 30 minutes. Now, this lecture series is there to save a lot of your time because current affairs takes a lot of time. Covering current affairs takes a lot of time. So, we are going to cover the entire day's current affairs within 30 minutes so that you save a lot of time for covering other parts of your UPSC syllabus. All right. So this is the purpose of this lecture series, to cover your current affairs on a daily basis, but don't waste a lot of your time covering current affairs within 30 minutes. Now, just after watching this lecture, you need to do one more thing. Just after watching this lecture, you need to revise this lecture also, because revision helps you to remember these current affairs for longer periods of time, or else you'll quickly forget them in a matter of couple of days. So just after watching this lecture within 30 minutes, you have to revise this lecture by spending another 20 minutes. It will not take more than 20 minutes. Now, where can you revise this lecture from? Well, along with this lecture, we are going to share the notes of this lecture, and these notes shall be shared on our Telegram channel. Now, where can you find our Telegram channel? So just below this video, in the comment section, I have shared a link to our Telegram channel. All you have to do is just click on that link. It will take you to our Telegram channel, and from there, you can download the notes for this lecture. All right? And then spend the required 20 minutes. So 30 minutes of watching this lecture and 20 minutes of revising this lecture. And in about 50 minutes time, you'll be done for the day as far as current affairs are concerned. Your entire day is freed up. Now spend as you want to spend it. Okay? Spend mostly covering other parts of your syllabus. Naturally, you'll do that. Okay? So yeah, that's the purpose of this lecture series. Okay, let's straight away jump into the lecture. First, let's take a look at the topics we shall cover today. So here's a list of today's topics. Number one is impeachment of judges. Recently, a judge from the Allahabad High Court made controversial remarks regarding minorities, and opposition party members are bringing a motion to remove him because they think that these remarks shouldn't be made by a judge from Indian judiciary or higher judiciary. Okay, so these remarks were distasteful, these remarks were anti-minority, and therefore a motion to remove him has been or is being discussed right now. Okay, so impeachment of judges. How are judges from the higher judiciary, High Court and Supreme Court, are removed? What sort of constitutional provisions are there? We'll talk about this. Then, recently Tamil Nadu government announced that annually they'll give an award for promoting equality and justice. That award would be called Vaikom Award. This award would basically laud the contributions made by individuals in promoting equality and justice, right? So this award was started in 2023 and 2024's winner has been announced. So what is this award? We'll talk about this. Then recently, Employee Provident Fund Organization announced that it didn't formally announce, but it was learnt by various investigative journalists that EPFO is forcing many of its employees to retire early because they think that these people indulged in corruption. So EPFO is cleaning its house, removing people who are involved in corruption. So we'll talk about what EPFO is and what is its role. Then recently, central government and Tamil Nadu state government are at loggerheads with respect to auction of a mining block in Madurai. This mining block will yield tungsten, which is a critical mineral resource. Now, what are critical minerals? What is this issue all about? We'll talk about this. And in the end, we'll talk about an environment-related news because a report was published by a scientific organization which says that by 2030, Arctic will see its first ice-free day. There will come a day when Arctic region won't have any ice. Now, this is very bad news for people who are fighting against climate change. So we'll talk about this. All right. So these are the 5 issues that we need to zero in our attention on. Please give me your 100% and let's begin this lecture. Okay. So topic number 1 is related to impeachment of judges. And by impeachment, we mean removal of judges. Now, why is this topic in news? Because opposition India bloc parties in Rajya Sabha are preparing to give notice to move a motion to impeach Allahabad High Court Judge Justice Shekhar Kumar. And why are they moving a motion against Justice Shekhar Kumar? Because Justice Shekhar Kumar Yadav basically. Because Justice Yadav, who was appointed a High Court judge in 2019, made controversial statements against minorities in an event recently. Okay. Even Supreme Court took cognizance of this matter and they have decided to investigate the matter and ask the judge to explain himself. But opposition India bloc party members are saying that disciplining this judge is not enough. We need to remove this judge, and that is why they are moving an impeachment motion against this judge. Now, we don't need to focus on this news item. What we need to focus on is for our exams, basically, because this is not important for our exams. What is important for our exams is how are judges removed in India. So our constitution is very clear. It lays down a very detailed procedure on removal of judges in India. Okay. So Article 124 Clause 4 gives detailed procedure on the removal of Supreme Court judges. And Article 218 gives a detailed procedure for removal of High Court judges. Basically, Article 218 says that the same procedure as mentioned in Article 124 shall be followed for the removal of High Court judges. So the procedure for removal of Supreme Court judge and the procedure for removal of High Court judge, they are both similar. Okay. But if they ask you in the examination, in which article is the procedure to remove a High Court judge is mentioned, you'll say 218. And for Supreme Court judge, you'll say 124 Clause 4. Okay. But both of them are same. All right. Now, under Article 124 Clause 4, a judge can be removed by Parliament. Remember, the power is with Parliament through a laid down procedure only on two grounds: proved misbehavior and incapacity. So the Constitution is very clear. You cannot remove a judge of a Supreme Court or a High Court on any other charges. Okay, if he is proved to be if he has showcased proved misbehavior or he has showcased incapacity to judge cases, then only you can remove. Only on these two grounds you can remove a judge of a Supreme Court or a High Court. All right. Plus, it also lays down the process. Okay. Now, in the past, 6 attempts have been made to remove judges of both Supreme Court and High Court. 6 attempts have been made with respect to removal of judges, and all these 6 attempts failed. Why? Because the process mentioned in Article 124 is very difficult. It is very difficult to remove a judge, both Supreme Court judges and High Court judges. And that is why these 6 attempts failed. And probably the 7th attempt, which is being launched by opposition parties, is also going to fail. Why? Well, the process is very difficult. Look, a judge can be removed by President of India. Okay? But President of India cannot remove a judge on his own. Okay? I mean, the discretion doesn't lie with him. For a judge to be removed or for the president to remove a judge of Supreme Court or High Court, an impeachment motion must be passed in both houses of parliament, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Okay? Now, this impeachment motion should be passed by at least 2/3 of those present and voting. All right? And the minimum number of votes should be at least 50% of the total strength of that house. Okay? So let's suppose that 100 members are present in Lok Sabha and Lok Sabha's strength is 550. Okay, so this motion needs to be passed by 2/3 members of Lok Sabha. Okay, that means it needs at least 66 votes. But there are total 550 members in Lok Sabha. All right, yes, only 100 are present, but total strength is 550. So the minimum number required for the passage of this motion is 225. And after that, it should be 2/3 of the people present there. So that's how difficult this is. And it should be passed in both houses of parliament. Both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha should agree. Once the motion is passed by both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, then it goes to the president and then president shall remove the judge. If the parliament passes such a vote, the president will pass an order for the removal of the judge. Now, these are the provisions which are mentioned in India's constitution. But Parliament of India passed a special law which gives further details on removal of judges. And this law was Judges Inquiry Act 1968. Okay. Now this Judges Inquiry Act states that any motion for impeachment has to be presented in any house of the parliament, but that motion should be presented by minimum 100 members of Lok Sabha or at least 50 members of Rajya Sabha. So you need at least 100 members for even moving that motion. Okay, moving means at least admitting. For admittance of that motion, you need at least 100 members of Lok Sabha and 50 members of Rajya Sabha. After it has been admitted, then that process of 2/3 voting and minimum 50% of total membership would go on. Okay, once the motion is brought in, the speaker and chairman has to constitute a 3-member committee of inquiry. Okay, who would be the members of that committee? Chief Justice of India or a judge of a Supreme Court, Chief Justice of any High Court, or a distinguished jurist selected by Speaker. Okay, now after that committee finds the judge guilty, only then that impeachment motion will be put to vote. Okay, so let's suppose now opposition parties have moved a motion in Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. Then that motion would be admitted, but for that opposition parties need 100 members in Lok Sabha and 50 members in Rajya Sabha. Once it's admitted, the speaker or chairman will create a 3-member committee. And if that 3-member committee does not find that judge guilty, then this issue won't be put to vote. But if that committee finds them guilty, then it will be put to vote and you need 2/3 votes. All right. So this is the process. Some provisions of judges removal are mentioned in Constitution and some provisions are mentioned in Judges Inquiry Act of 1968. All right. I hope this is clear now. All right. Let's move on to second topic, which is 2024 Vaikom Award. Now, celebrating the significance of social justice and literary excellence, the 2024 Vaikom Award was conferred upon Devanur Mahadeva, one of the Kannada's literature most celebrated voices and a lifelong advocate for the oppressed. Now look, the Vaikom Award was instituted in 2023 and it was instituted by Tamil Nadu government. So Tamil Nadu government said that every year we'll give this award. Okay. And the basis for the giving of this award, is that it would award or it would basically reward the contributions made by individuals who promoted social justice and equality. Okay, so if an individual has promoted social justice and equality, he is eligible for this award. Now, 2024 award to Devanur Mahadeva shall be presented by Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin during the inauguration of Vaikom Memorial Building. Okay, and the function is going to be organized in Vaikom. Vaikom is a place in Kerala. You might say, the place is in Kerala, but the award was constituted by Tamil Nadu. Well, we'll get to that. Okay. The thing is that Vaikom Award was instituted in 2023 to basically mark Vaikom Satyagraha, to celebrate Vaikom Satyagraha. And this Vaikom Satyagraha happened during the British times. It happened in 1924. Okay. This Satyagraha was fight against caste oppression, basically. Okay. So that is why Vaikom Award is given to someone who fights against caste oppression, who is an advocate for oppressed. All right. Now, about this award, well, the Vaikom Award was instituted in 2023 to honor individuals or organizations from across India who embody the values of equality and justice. The award was instituted by Tamil Nadu government in the memory of late social reformer E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar, who was also known as Periyar. So this award basically honors E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar, also called Periyar, who was a big social reformer in South India, especially Tamil Nadu. E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar or Periyar is also known as Vaikom Virar because he played a major role in Vaikom Satyagraha. He was one of the tallest leaders in Vaikom Satyagraha. Now, the award was announced in 2023 to mark the 100th anniversary of Vaikom Satyagraha in 2024. So, it was announced in 2023. Okay. The award carries a cash prize of 5 lakh, certificate and a medal. Now, what is this Vaikom Satyagraha? Okay. So, Vaikom Satyagraha basically was a temple entry movement in Kerala. Vaikom is a place in Kerala. Okay. Thing is that certain temples in Kerala were not open for depressed classes. One of the depressed class of Kerala was Ezhava caste. So they were not allowed to enter temples. So this Satyagraha basically was a protest against people who were stopping Ezhavas from entering temples. So it was basically a temple entry movement and it was a peaceful protest. Now, E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar played such a huge role in this Vaikom Satyagraha that he was given the title of Vaikom Virar. That means the brave, the hero of Vaikom. Okay. Vaikom Satyagraha non-violent agitation unfolded in Vaikom within the princely state of Travancore, Kerala from 30th March 1924 to 23rd November 1925. The movement was triggered by prohibition of people from oppressed classes, especially Ezhavas, from walking on roads surrounding the Vaikom Mahadeva temple. It was the first among temple entry movements in India, and after that, many temple entry movements were held. Okay, its key leaders were the Ezhava leader T.K. Madhavan, K.P. Keshava Menon, K.L. Kelappan, and E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar, also called Periyar. The movement gained power when Mahatma Gandhi reached Vaikom in March 1925 and held discussions with leaders of various caste groups. Okay, so Vaikom Award basically honors Vaikom Satyagraha, one of the biggest social justice movements in South India. Okay, and it also honors its hero Vaikom Virar E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar, also called Periyar. All right. Okay. Third news item is EPFO and corruption. Now, EPFO stands for Employee Provident Fund Organization. And what does EPFO do? Look, there are many employees in organized sector. We're not talking about informal sector, we are talking about organized sector. Okay, factories, companies, and whatnot. Now, these employees of the organized sector need certain social security benefits. So, various social security schemes have been launched for them. They have access to pension scheme. Okay, so every month from their salary, they have to contribute some amount, and that amount goes to a fund. Until their retirement, that amount goes to some fund, and once they retire, they receive pension from it. Okay, they have the benefit of insurance schemes, again, which is a part of social security scheme. Have the benefit of provident fund. Okay, so there is a separate pension scheme, insurance scheme, provident fund scheme for the employees of organized sector. Collectively, these schemes are known as social security schemes. Now, these social security schemes actually collect money from these employees. Okay, they put it in a fund. That fund is the money from that fund is invested somewhere, and once these people retire, they get the benefit of these social security schemes. Okay, now you need an organization to manage such a huge fund. And this huge fund is managed by EPFO, Employee Provident Fund Organization. It is a statutory organization. That means it was established by an act of parliament. And recently, EPFO has forced 12 of its officers to retire early, okay, because there were corruption charges against them. This action is being taken to improve delivery of services by the organization that oversees funds of over 7.37 crore contributing subscribers and a total of 32.56 crore members. That means at least 7.37 crore employees are contributing to the funds managed by EPFO. So such a huge number of people are dependent on EPFO's good management, and such a huge number of amount of money is being managed by EPFO, because EPFO manages those funds that provide social security benefits to employees, pension, insurance, provident fund. Now let's talk a bit more about EPFO. All right. So EPFO was established by an act of parliament to provide social security to workers working in India. Now, that act of parliament was called Employee Provident Fund and Miscellaneous Provisions Act. Okay. Now, EPFO functions under Ministry of Labour and Employment, Government of India. Now, what are these social security schemes that are being managed by EPFO? So, let's talk about that. Okay. So, the social security schemes for employees of organized sector are administered by a tripartite board. Okay. Now, this board, so basically all the social security schemes that these organized workers get, pension scheme, insurance scheme, provident fund scheme, it is managed by a tripartite board. This board is called Central Board of Trustees, Employee Provident Fund. And why is it called tripartite? Because this board contains representatives from government, from employers and employees. So this board has representatives from labor unions, employees. They have representatives from employers, factory owners. They have representatives from central and state government. Okay, so three institutions are being represented by this board. This board actually manages these schemes. Now, this board is assisted by a professional body called EPFO, Employee Provident Fund Organization, which has many officers, many workers who are professionals in managing funds. Now, the schemes that are managed by EPFO or this board are Employee Provident Fund Scheme 1952, Employees Pension Scheme 1995 EPS, and Employees Deposit Linked Insurance Scheme 1976. So these are the schemes. And these schemes have gathered so much money in different funds that it is very important that a professional organization manages these funds, because people's savings are in these funds. Many people depend on these schemes. Okay, that is why EPFO is very serious about rooting out corruption from their organization. All right. Okay. Let's move forward to fourth news item, which is tungsten mining in Madurai. Now, what has happened basically? Recently, central government decided to auction various blocks in Madurai district of Tamil Nadu. Now, those blocks would be used for mining tungsten. Okay. But the problem is that various environmentalists and archaeologists say that those regions have very fragile ecosystems. That region where tungsten would be mined would actually destroy the environment of that region. Plus, that region is also famous for various ancient temples, ancient rocks. So, it's also important for archaeology. So, many archaeologists, many environmentalists, and local people of the region, they don't want this mining project to be there in Madurai. Okay? They don't want that. They have been protesting, and their protests were heard by local Tamil Nadu government. So, Tamil Nadu government is opposing center's decision on tungsten mining in Madurai. So center has said that we are auctioning, they have auctioned tungsten mining project in Madurai, but Tamil Nadu government says that you can't, you shouldn't, because this is not done, this is not good, it will destroy the environment. Because Tamil Nadu government is listening to local people. Okay, so it's basically a tussle between center and states and people basically. Okay, now why is central government hell bent on tungsten mining in Madurai? The thing is that tungsten is very important. Tungsten is a critical mineral which is used in electronics, aerospace, defense industry. Critical minerals are those minerals which are important for countries' economic growth and national security. So it is very important for government of India, or it is very important for India to produce tungsten itself and not depend on import of tungsten. And that is why, for that reason, it has given this project of tungsten mining in Madurai. But local people are opposing it. Okay. See, it is a strategic project. Union Ministry of Mines had announced that it had concluded the auction of 8 critical mineral blocks, which includes Nayakara Patti tungsten block in Madurai, Melur Taluk. Okay. The block auction were part of tranche 4 of critical and strategic mineral blocks auction. So government is basically auctioning critical and strategic minerals. These are not normal minerals like coal and something. These are critical minerals. And the auctioning of these critical minerals are being done so that India is self-reliant in high-tech applications, because these high-tech applications, electronics, require these minerals. Now this block, Nayakarapatti block, is rich in scheelite. Scheelite is an ore. Remember this part. Scheelite is an ore from which you extract tungsten. So an MCQ might be asked that tungsten is extracted from which ore? Scheelite ore. Okay, and tungsten is critical for aerospace applications, defense, green energy technology. Now, what are critical minerals basically? Let's talk about that also. So, by definition, critical minerals are those minerals, as the name suggests, which are critical. Critical for a country's economic development and national security. Now, the reason why they are critical is because these minerals are scarcely available. They are very scarce in the world, or their concentration is in only few geographical locations. Okay, leading to the supply of these minerals a problem. All right. Now, every country publishes its own list of critical minerals based on their own circumstances. So, USA has basically declared 50 minerals as critical, Japan 31, UK 18, EU 34, and Canada 31. In July 2023, Indian government identified 30 minerals and called them critical. Okay, so India has identified 30 critical minerals. It has also published a list of these 30 critical minerals. Among these 30, tungsten is one. Okay, lithium is also there, cobalt is also there. These are very rare minerals. Now, they were declared critical by amending Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Act by MMDR Amendment Act. And through that amendment, Center says, or Parliament says, that the right to auction these critical minerals lies with central government. So central government has all the power in auctioning these mineral blocks. That is why Tamil Nadu government cannot do anything. They can only pass a resolution, but they cannot do anything, because as per MMDR Amendment Act, the power lies with central government. That is why local people are protesting and Tamil Nadu government is protesting. But legally it can't do anything because the power lies with central government. All right. Now, why are people opposing this? Because the region, the Melur Taluk of Madurai, where this mining project is being given, also includes Aritapatti, which is a biodiversity rich area. Okay. Plus, it has many historical monuments like cave temples, Jain symbols, Tamil Brahmi scripts, Panchapandavar beds, and habitat for rare species. So, it is important from the perspective of environment. It is important from the perspective of history, archaeology. And both of these things would get destroyed if the mining project goes through. That is why archaeologists, environmentalists, and local people are protesting against it. Right? That's all. And last is first ice-free day in Arctic by 2030. Very bad news as far as planet Earth is concerned. The Arctic Ocean, which remains frozen throughout the year, may see its first ice-free day when its waters have less than 1 million square kilometers of sea ice by 2030. And it might happen sooner than 2030 also. Now, the study was conducted by scientists. The name of the study was "The First Ice-Free Day in Arctic Ocean Could Occur Before 2030," and it was published in an internationally reputed journal called Nature Communications. Now, Arctic sea ice has been shrinking for the past 40 years. Like every decade, it shrinks by 12.6%. So this process has been going on for 40 years. Now, scientists or experts say that Arctic Ocean might see its first ice-free day by 2030. And this is really bad news because it would have severe consequences. Severe consequences. Very bad things would happen if this becomes true. Okay. Now, what are those severe consequences? First of all, it would reduce Earth's albedo effect. Now, what is albedo effect? The ability of the planet to reflect back sun rays. The thing is that ice, clouds, they are white in color. And the color white reflects back solar rays, thereby keeping the planet cool. But if this ice was to melt, okay, if this ice would melt, then there won't be much white surface to reflect back solar rays. That means that Earth's albedo would decline. Now, if Earth's albedo would decline, then more solar rays would be absorbed by the planet, then more warming would happen. So reduced albedo effect would further exacerbate global warming, further boost global warming. Okay. Now, melting of ice would mean more melted water. That would increase global sea level. Many coastal cities would get submerged. Okay. Plus, Arctic region also supports biodiversity, polar bears, sloth, walruses, seals. Okay, they depend on ice for their survival. Now, this biodiversity also stands to get threatened. And this biodiversity is part of a big food chain in the Arctic region or northern hemisphere, which will also get impacted. All right. So these are the three severe consequences if this prediction by this study becomes true. All right. And that's all. With that, we conclude today's session. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. And I'm sure it has added value to your preparation. But it would add more value if you pay attention to my advice. If you revise these current affairs, you have done the half job. Okay. Half of your job is done. You have watched the lecture. Now is the time to do the other half. And that is revising this lecture. It won't take more than 20 minutes. But this revision would really help you to retain these current affairs in your memory. Okay, so make sure you do the necessary revision. Go to our Telegram channel, download the notes, and do the necessary revision. All right. On that note, I'll be signing off. Thank you so much, everyone.